Hi guys. I'm gonna talk a little bit, and we'll see what comes out, but about thought and the observation of thought and falling back into that observing, watching what it's kind of up to and what it's doing, as opposed to being in it, and the energetic difference between those two. When we're observing thought, when there's a watching of it, an awareness of it, that awareness of thought, that observation of thought is not a doing. It's falling into a state of being and then allowing it to arise without any energetic action about it. It's just an allowing it to be there. It's just a not getting involved, not the minute that we comment, we criticize, we judge, we take an energetic stance. If we don't like the content of it, then we're in it. And we're back in it again, and we're in the story. To be allowing, to be surrendering to it being there, to be observing it, has to be energetically about allowing whatever it's saying to be okay. The minute that we're not okay with what it's saying, we're in it and it's got us again. So no matter what it's showing in the form of images or what it's saying in the form of words, that allowance, that not touching it, that not just surrendering to it being an automatic conditioned arising that we have no control over, that it has no control over, allows it to remain an image or some words. But the minute an image or some words arise and there's an energetic like feeling about it, then there's comment, there's criticism, there's judgment, then there begins a story about it. Because what happens is the first thought arises, and if it's not touched, if it's allowed, if there's a surrender to the freedom of it being there, if it's not touched in any way, it falls away by itself. But the minute a thought arises and then energetically we buy into it, another thought, another thought, another thought, and now the story is off and running, and we're energetically bought into that as our identity and what we are. So when we talk about observing thought, when we talk about falling back into being awareness, identified as awareness, the power is in the allowing of thought to be, and not commenting or judging or creating, just saying anything about what it's saying or what it's showing. Because the minute we do, okay, now we're off and we're running again with that story and with that terrain. Whereas that one image that arises then falls. Now, what we have to see is that it doesn't matter what the image is or what the words are. If we are allowing it to arise as not talking about us, then it doesn't matter what it is. If there is an image of baby goats and an image of a decomposing dead body, right? It's easier to see the image of the baby goats and allow it just to free fall. Whereas when there's an image or words that all of a sudden we jump in and we start saying, we don't like it, We don't want to see it. We want it to go away. We just don't want that to be here. And then it starts stories of, I can't cope. It's not okay. I want it to stop. I need it to go away. Okay, I can't think this. Now, all of a sudden, we're really identified because we've started to comment and judge that image or judge that one sentence and what it's saying. Okay, as though we have control over it and though it's us or something that's making it arise. So the kind of falling back into the awareness is an allowing that any image of anything and any words about anything are going to be allowed to be in exactly the same way. They are allowed to be present and you're aware of them, but that's it. That's where it stops. You are aware of what is arising. We're not commenting, we're not judging, we're not resisting, we're not pushing it away, we're not saying it's not okay, because that is the story about it that's going to hold it in place. We're going to allow the image that would be judged by thought as evil or dark or cruel or unkind, but we're going to allow it to be there because we are witnessing it. We are observing it. We are allowing it. We're not resisting it. We're not criticizing it. We're not judging it. We're just allowing it to be there. Because the minute we do any of those things, the minute we resist it and we decide we don't like it, we've given it energy. And now we've stuck it in place and we're building a story on it. Now it's not going anywhere. But if we allow that image to arise and we can just be aware of it, but totally surrender to it being present and the awareness that it is a programmed response that is coming from nowhere and falling back into nowhere and is completely out of our control, then we don't need to judge it. We don't need to criticize it. We don't need to say anything about it. We just leave it. And it's the leaving it and the allowing it to be present that allows it to fall away, because now it's got no energetic buy-in. It's got no belief. The minute we give that image some kind of validation or belief, we're now commenting on it. We're now stuck to it. We're now creating a story about it. So the observation is not from the perspective of I'm watching my thoughts, because in that is the perceived illusion of control, that I can control what images arise and what words arise. And therefore, when I don't like it, I should be able to make it go away. Okay, we can't do that. There is no control over thought. It is a completely mechanical program that arises by itself. There is nothing making that thought arise. There is nothing making that image arise. It's just an energetic form in awareness. Now, one energetic form in awareness arising and falling away, harmless. An energetic form in awareness that then awareness as identified with, okay, and then judged and resisted and condemned and started a story about, now we've got a problem. Now we've got an identified story and all of the suffering that goes with that. So the observation, the falling back into the awareness, is an allowing of the thought to arise and fall away, the image to arise and fall away. Okay, it's not a doing. Okay, meditation is not something we do. It's not an active thing. It's a state of being. And that state of being is falling into that still, vast awareness that the thoughts are arising in. They are not mine. They are not made by somebody. They cannot be controlled by anything because they are an energy form just arising in awareness. And if that's what they're allowed to be, they arise and they disperse all by themselves. If they are not allowed to be and they are identified with by awareness as what it is, we get the formation of a me story, and they become my thoughts and they become my story. And now all of a sudden there's a belief that I can do something about these thoughts and I am in control of these thoughts that arise. As awareness, we are not in control of thoughts. Thoughts have no awareness. They cannot hear, they cannot see. They are literally an energy form talking from the perspective of the past. They are always old because they are always coming from what's gone before. They're not even relevant in this very present moment because they're always going to arise after the fact, because they can't arise as it's unfolding, because by the time they'd come in and commented on it, it's already gone. Okay, so that observation, that meditation, that watching is an allowing. It is a surrendering to it being there, not going to resist it. It's the same surrender and the same allowing that we use in the emotional work, where when the fear arises, when the anxiety arises, we don't resist it, we don't fight with it, we don't say it's not okay, we don't try and make it go away, we don't go and figure out all the things that we're going to do to fix it. We just sit with it and we totally surrender to it being there. We let it do its thing until it's finished doing its thing and it disperses all by itself. Thought is just another energy form. The process is exactly the same. We're just going to let it be there and see that it's just conditioned, it's just programmed, it's just arising because it's arising, and there is no need to resist it. There is no need to make it go away or stop it or control it until we judge it, until we start talking about it, until we start saying it's not okay and identifying with it as being what we are. And then as awareness, now we're identified with all of those thoughts that are then going to link into that big story. So as we sit back and as we observe, don't touch, just be aware, just be allowing, just be present in this moment and let it do its thing as an individual form, not as the belief that there is something that is making that happen and creating that, and that should be able to control it in some way.